It was August in Savannah, Georgia, the kind of heat that clings to your skin like regret. A storm was coming, the sky bruised purple, thunder growling like an old god with unfinished business. At a small Baptist church on the east side, mourners gathered under the weight of something that didn't feel real. There was nobody in casket, only a folded suit and a photograph. Tamara Ellis stood at the front pew, her black veil trembling with the air from a ceiling fan. She was 34, striking even through grief, with warm bronze skin, almond eyes, and a strength in her posture that had carried her through years of hardship. The man they were burying, Marcus Deshawn Ellis, had been declared dead 2 weeks earlier after his car was found mangled at the bottom of the Chattahoochee River. But nobody had ever surfaced. The authorities concluded he had drowned and been carried away by the current. Tamara didn't argue, not out loud, but inside her something screamed. Before we begin, like this video and comment where you're watching from. Your support helps us bring more intriguing stories. Now let's begin. Tamara and Marcus had been married for 8 years. They had a 6-year-old daughter, Soraya, and a mortgage on a 3-bedroom bungalow Marcus had fixed up himself. To outsiders, they were picture perfect. But the picture had cracks. Marcus had grown distant in the final year. Longer hours at work, vague answers, the smell of cologne that wasn't his. Tamara suspected infidelity, but she never expected this. When the police found the car, it had Marcus' wallet, watch, and wedding ring on the dashboard, as if left with intention, as if he wanted to be mourned. Tamara tried to grieve. She really did. But grief is a thing that needs evidence. A body, a goodbye, something real. Instead, she found herself dreaming about Marcus, not memories, but sightings. Him in a crowd, him across the street. Once, she swore she heard his laugh outside a diner in Macon. The mind can play cruel tricks, or maybe the heart refuses to be fooled. In her search for closure, she found inconsistencies. Marcus' last paycheck was never cashed. His social security number hadn't been used. But a private investigator she hired, Carlton Briggs, found something strange. 2 months before his death, Marcus had taken out a private P.O. box in Atlanta. It was still being paid for. Tamara stared at the photos the PI provided. Someone was signing for packages. A man with a baseball cap and sunglasses. His walk looked familiar. Her grief hardened into suspicion, and her suspicion became a mission. 7 years passed. Soraya grew into a teenager, quiet and sharp-eyed. She stopped asking questions about her father after her 12th birthday. But Tamara could see the ache. Tamara never remarried. She never dated. Her friends said she was frozen in time. But what they didn't understand was this. Her story wasn't over. Then, in June of 2024, while scrolling Instagram, Tamara saw a photo that cracked open the vault. It was a background figure in a friend's vacation shot in Miami. A man, smiling at a street performer, arm around a woman with red braids. Tamara zoomed in. It was Marcus. With the help of Briggs, who had grown personally invested in the case, they tracked the man to a catering business in Little Haiti. He was now going by the name Darian Cole, had a new driver's license from Louisiana, and paid rent in cash. He lived in a modest 2-story home with a woman named Trina Baptiste. They had a child. Tamara sat outside his house for 3 days before she dared to knock. But when the door opened, it wasn't Marcus. It was Trina. Her eyes narrowed at Tamara, like she knew. "You should leave," she said, "for your own good." That night, Tamara found a note under her windshield, in all caps. "Stay dead. He's not yours anymore." Tamara broke down, not just from heartbreak, but from the surreal horror of it all. Marcus hadn't just left. He had reinvented himself, built a new life, a new child. He had buried her emotionally before he ever faked his own death. She went to the Miami police. They dismissed her. Too old. No crime they could prosecute. No body, no fraud. But Briggs kept digging. He traced Darian Cole's utility bills, his driver's license origin, and the woman Trina, who, it turned out, had ties to a man Marcus once owed money to in Savannah. A loan shark. What if Marcus didn't just fake his death to escape Tamara? What if he was running from something darker? Tamara decided to confront him. Not violently, not even publicly, but she needed the truth. She followed him one evening to a small seafood bar near Biscayne Bay. She sat beside him at the bar and waited for him to recognize her. He didn't, or pretended not to. "Do I know you?" he asked. She said only one word: "Soraya." His face twitched, then dropped. They spoke for 37 minutes. Marcus never admitted it outright, but he let things slip. He said he felt trapped, that the life he had in Georgia wasn't real anymore. He spoke of debts, of fear, of feeling like he was being watched. Then he looked Tamara in the eyes and said, "You have to let me stay dead." Tamara recorded the conversation. She sent it to a lawyer. Nothing came of it, but Soraya heard it, and for the first time in years, she cried. "He doesn't deserve to be free," she said. That's when Tamara realized something. She hadn't come all this way for vengeance. She came for justice, for answers, and for her daughter. Briggs found one last lead. Marcus had taken out a life insurance policy just 3 weeks before his death. It had paid out $150,000 to a cousin who moved to Belize shortly after. That cousin, he was Trina's brother. Insurance fraud, faking death, international wire transfers. Now the FBI was listening. In March of 2025, Special Agent Naomi Carter, a former forensic accountant turned investigator, met with Tamara in a cafe in Atlanta. Tall, with locks pulled into a tight bun and an intensity in her dark eyes, she was the first official who took Tamara seriously. Carter had seen similar cases before, but this one was different. The emotional weight, the deliberate cruelty, the loose ends. "He didn't just fake a death," she said. "He faked an identity. That's federal." They began building a case. Paper trails, phone records, witness statements. But then, Marcus disappeared again. Carter tracked Marcus alias to a private charter plane that left Miami 2 days before the subpoena. Destination, Belize. Trina and their son were already there. Tamara booked a flight. She wasn't done. And when she landed in Belize City, she received a text from a number she didn't recognize. "This isn't the end. You'll wish it was." The card on the pillow. The card was the Queen of Hearts. Not just any card. It was scorched slightly at the edges. The ink faded like it had been in someone's wallet for years. But the image remained unmistakable. A woman with a sorrowful stare and a sword behind her back. Tamara stared at it for minutes before she touched it. It was a message. But from who? Marcus? Trina? Or someone else watching from deeper shadows? Agent Carter's voice trembled when Tamara called. "Leave the hotel. Now." Tamara grabbed only what she needed. Her burner phone, passport, and the small flash drive containing every document she and Briggs had collected for 7 years. The rest, clothes, toothbrush, memory, she left behind. She took a cab to the coast, not knowing where she was going, only that she needed to disappear for a night before she disappeared for good. Carter had a contact in Belize, a retired DEA agent named Jorge Valencia, a man whose name never appeared on any government payroll anymore, but who still knew things before they made it to the papers. He picked Tamara up from a roadside bus stop near Orange Walk Town. He drove an old pickup with no plates. "You're lucky," he said. "Whoever left that car didn't want to kill you. They wanted to scare you. Means you still have time." Tamara didn't feel lucky. She felt like her blood had been replaced by ice water. Jorge drove them into the jungle. Eventually, they arrived at a compound nestled behind a fake sign that read "under construction." The guard at the gate had a machete and a radio. Inside was a small villa, half finished, but wired for power and secure. "You'll sleep here tonight," he said. "Carter's people fly in tomorrow." Tamara sat on the edge of a cot, the Queen of Hearts in her hand. "What does this mean?" she asked. Jorge leaned in. "In Belize, it means someone knows you're gambling, and they just raised the stakes." The next morning, Agent Carter arrived by private charter with 2 Interpol liaisons. They met in the villa, where she laid out a new map of Marcus's fake life. He wasn't just hiding. He was embedded. Through Trina's brother, Marcus had bought into a hotel laundering operation Dirty money cleaned through cash-only guest bookings and phantom staff. He had a new name in Belize, Dion Graves. According to local records, he ran a construction firm building beachfront condos. Tamara almost laughed. The man couldn't fix a leaky faucet in Georgia, she said. But then Carter showed her the passport photo under Dion Graves. Shorter hair, small goatee, but the same crooked smile. Marcus had changed his face, but not his arrogance. The most chilling detail: Soraya's name showed up on a ledger. Her name, her real one. He accessed your daughter's old school files from Georgia, Carter said. We think he's planning something. Tamara stood. Then we're not waiting. We go to him. Carter looked hesitant. You sure you're ready for that? I was ready the day he left me for dead. It wasn't a mansion. It was a villa north of Belize City. White stucco, palm trees, an infinity pool. But inside the walls, it wasn't a home. It was a sanctuary, specifically the Church of Second Chances Incorporated, a shell nonprofit that Marcus had helped co-found with a local preacher. His sermons streamed weekly on YouTube. The message: redemption, reinvention, starting over. He was literally preaching about the life he stole. That night, Tamara and Agent Carter sat in a car parked across the street. Trina's car was in the driveway. The child, who would be about 5, played in the front yard with a small dog. Then the front door opened. Marcus stepped out wearing a white linen shirt and sunglasses. He looked older but healthy, whole, untouched by the fire he'd left behind. Let's go, Tamara said. I'm talking to him. Carter didn't stop her this time. She walked up the stone path. The heat clung to her skin. Marcus turned and looked at her with the squint of a man who couldn't tell whether he was seeing a memory or a ghost. Tamara, said. The smile vanished. The color drained from his face. Trina came to the door but froze the moment she saw Tamara. Her hand went to the boy's shoulder protectively, as if Tamara were the threat. But it was Marcus who stepped forward. You shouldn't be here. You faked your death, Tamara said. You took money. You lied to everyone who ever loved you. His mouth twitched. It was survival. She pointed to the boy. And this is what you built on a lie. He looked at the child, then back to her. You wouldn't understand. No, she said. I wouldn't, because I stayed. I raised Soraya. I buried you and carried the weight. He looked away. You don't get to rewrite history, Tamara said. You don't get to make yourself the victim. And then she walked away. Behind her, Carter stepped out of the car and handed him an envelope. Mr. Graves, you're being investigated for international fraud, insurance scam, identity theft, and conspiracy to obstruct justice. He didn't say a word. Marcus fled that night. Tamara wasn't surprised, but Interpol had been waiting for this. His passport pinged at a marina an hour north, where a yacht registered under Trina's brother's company was prepping for departure. He didn't make it on board. Agents tackled him on the dock. Carter cuffed him herself. He tried to beg, said it was all a misunderstanding, but the look on her face silenced him. You left your own child to believe you were dead, she said. You can't come back from that. They flew him back to the U.S. under federal extradition. Trina vanished. No trace. Even the boy's name was unknown. Tamara only remembered the sadness in his eyes. She pitied him most of all. Back in Georgia, the headlines wrote themselves. Man who faked his death found living in Belize, faces 25 years. The courtroom was packed. Tamara sat in the front row, Soraya beside her, now 16. The girl had her father's jaw, but her mother's steel in her spine. Marcus refused to look at them. He pled guilty to insurance fraud, falsification of identity, and interstate wire fraud. But what hurt most was what he didn't say. No apology, no explanation, just silence. The judge gave him 22 years, eligible for parole in 10. After the trial, Soraya asked her mother a question. Why did he do it? Tamara didn't answer right away. She looked out the window at the storm clouds gathering again over Savannah. I think, she finally said, some men would rather fake a death than face the truth of who they really are. Soraya nodded. He's not my father anymore. No, Tamara said. He hasn't been for a long time. But the fire that once consumed her was gone. She was no longer chasing ghosts. She was finally writing her own story. The insurance company filed civil suits to reclaim the payout. The money was mostly gone. Riggs went on to publish a book titled The Husband Who Vanished Twice. Agent Carter received a commendation. And Tamara? She started a nonprofit for women affected by financial abuse and abandonment. It was called Second Sunrise. Because some people don't get second chances, but others survive to see another dawn. The child he left behind? Tamara didn't plan to look for the boy. He wasn't hers. And yet, every night, she thought of the way he looked at her. A mixture of confusion and fear, like some part of him already knew the man who tucked him in at night was a lie. 2 weeks after the sentencing, she received an envelope. No return address. Just a photograph. The boy, standing in a crowd, holding the hand of a woman who was not Trina. On the back, in careful block letters, "Don't forget him." Agent Carter traced the photo to a coastal village in Guatemala, where several members of Trina's family had ties to fishing and shipping routes. Tamara stared at the photo for hours. She should have closed the door, walked away. But some debts can't be forgiven by time alone. Interpol and the FBI had their hands full with the financial wreckage Marcus left behind. But Tamara moved quietly, slipping past red tape the way only a mother who's lost everything can. She contacted Jorge Valencia again. He was hesitant, but when she showed him the photograph, something changed in his face. "They're not in Guatemala anymore," he said, "but I can find someone who knows where they went." Tamara didn't tell Soraya, didn't tell Agent Carter. This part wasn't about the law or revenge. It was about the life left behind, an innocent child, swept into the slipstream of a man's selfishness. The village was called Puerto Rosado, a place so remote it barely appeared on maps. Fishing boats dotted the coast, and electricity blinked in and out like it was too tired to try. Tamara found her on the third day, a woman in her 40s, with a haunted stare, running a soup stall near the docks. Her name was Nayeli. No last name. She'd once worked as a housemaid for Trina's family. "They left him with me," Nayeli said. "Paid me to disappear." She looked at Tamara, then whispered, "But he's not normal." Tamara's chest tightened. "What do you mean?" "He doesn't speak. He watches things. Writes numbers on the wall. He has nightmares where he screams in English about fire and fathers." Tamara fought the shake in her hands. "Where is he?" Nayeli led her to a small hut behind the trees. The boy was there, sitting cross-legged on the floor, drawing spirals in charcoal on the concrete. He looked up. Tamara froze. He had Soraya's eyes. He wouldn't speak to her. For days, Tamara returned to the hut, bringing food, books, toys, anything. But the boy, who Nayeli called Samuel, never answered to it. One night, he left her a paper with one sentence. "I am not my father's son." Tamara sat with that sentence like it was a sacred text. The boy wasn't broken. He was choosing to erase a man who never deserved to raise him. And she realized something that startled her. He was Soraya's half-brother. Maybe not by law, not by blood that mattered in court, but by survival. And survival, Tamara knew, was thicker than blood. She called Agent Carter. "I want to bring him back with me." Carter didn't hesitate. "I'll make it happen." The process took months, papers, psychological evaluations, letters to embassies. But in late July, Tamara and the boy stepped off a plane in Atlanta. Soraya was waiting. She'd grown since Belize. Taller, stronger. When she saw the boy, she didn't say anything. Just knelt down, looked him in the eyes, and said, "It's okay. You're safe now." The boy reached for her hand. Tamara wept. Just when life settled into something that resembled peace, school enrollments, therapy sessions, quiet breakfasts, Tamara received a letter, postmarked from inside a federal prison in Ohio. It was from Marcus. She almost threw it away, but curiosity overpowered caution. Inside was a single sheet of paper. "He's not my son, but he is my legacy. Don't make the same mistakes I did. You can still save him." Below it, a strange set of numbers. Latitude, longitude. Tamara gave it to Agent Carter, who ran it through a mapping program. It pointed to a small, unmarked island off the coast of Honduras. "What is this?" Tamara asked. Carter paled. "A facility," she said. "Rumors of a private compound, unregulated, where they train people for things." Tamara's blood ran cold. 3 weeks later, Carter and a joint task force raided the coordinates. They found blueprints, journals, names. Marcus had been part of something bigger than a scam, something that used disappearances and false identities to recruit, train, and bury people in new lives. Trina's brother? A recruiter. The boy? A failed subject. But Tamara wasn't done, because there was a name scribbled on the final page of the recovered journal. Soraya, Level 2 candidate. Possible acquisition. Tamara stood on her porch, the letter in one hand, her phone in the other. She called Carter. Was this about me? About Soraya? From the beginning? Carter's voice was grave. We don't know. But someone wanted her back then, and they might still want her now. Tamara turned to the window, where Soraya played cards with the boy, who now called himself Eli. For a brief second, all was still. Then a car passed slowly in front of the house. A man inside stared just a little too long. The Queen of Hearts was still on the windowsill. The game wasn't over. Not yet. Tamara kept the Queen of Hearts pinned to the kitchen corkboard. It had become a symbol of loss, of resilience, and now of warning. Soraya had noticed the car too. "Why'd he look at us like that?" she asked. Tamara tried to smile. Probably just lost. But inside, her instinct screamed. The surveillance team confirmed the car was registered to a shell company in the Cayman Islands, one that didn't exist before the island raid. Someone was watching them. Again. And this time, they weren't waiting for Marcus to do the dirty work. Agent Carter called an emergency meeting. They know we have the journals. They know Soraya's alive. And based on this footage. She clicked a remote. A screen blinked on. Night vision dashcam footage. A silhouette at the window. The glint of a camera lens. They've already made contact. Who are they? Tamara demanded. Carter sighed. They call themselves the diaspora. Former intelligence operatives, rogue psychologists, ex-military. They specialize in identity manipulation, black site training, human assets. They wanted to recruit my daughter, Tamara said. 7 years ago. They still might. The boy, Eli, had begun to talk. Not much, but when he did, he used precise, unsettling phrases. Operational silence is safer than therapy. Trust is leverage. Leverage is survival. He said he remembered a man on the island who wore a red scarf. The same man who gave him his name. Eli hadn't chosen it. It had been assigned. Tamara showed him a picture of the man who had driven by. Eli stared for a long moment, then nodded. Level 5. He trains handlers. Tamara looked at Carter. They're not watching. They're preparing. It happened on a Thursday. Soraya had stayed late for debate club. Tamara and Eli waited in the car. She was scrolling through her phone when Eli stiffened. Too quiet, he said. Tamara turned. The parking lot was empty. Then a black SUV screeched around the corner. Tamara shoved Eli down and hit the gas. A second SUV boxed them in. 3 men in tactical gear surrounded the car. One smashed the driver's side window. Tamara screamed. Eli moved like someone much older. He grabbed the emergency brake, yanked it, and sent the car spinning. Tamara hit the accelerator and barely escaped, sparks flying. Soraya ran toward them from school door, eyes wide. They drove all night. Carter had prepared for this. An off-grid cabin in Tennessee. No internet, no phones, just generators and a stack of burner devices. For 2 days, the family barely spoke. Eli drew maps from memory. Soraya kept watch with binoculars. Tamara cleaned her gun, the one Marcus had once given her as a gift. "This ends with them," she said. "No more running." Carter arrived on day 3 with news. "We've identified the man in the red scarf. His real name is Wesley Thorne, former CIA Psychological Warfare Division. He's alive, and he's in New Orleans." They drove through the night. Carter, Tamara, Soraya, and Eli. This time, they weren't victims. They were witnesses, survivors, and if fate allowed, justice seekers. Thorne lived under the name Dr. Ellis Moreau, a motivational speaker running underground retreats for corporate leaders and cult-like seminars on rebirth through psychological freedom. They checked into a hotel across from the building, watched, waited. Carter had arranged for federal support, but Tamara knew deep down she wanted to be there when it ended. They entered the seminar on the final day. Tamara wore a black coat. Soraya carried a camera. Eli posed as an intern. Thorne stood at the podium, spouting vague platitudes. You are not your story. You are the narrator. Tamara walked up the center aisle. Excuse me, Dr. Moreau, she said. Thorne faltered, saw her face. Behind him, Carter appeared with a federal warrant. Panic rippled through the crowd. Thorne lunged for the exit. Eli tripped him. Soraya snapped the photo as the man hit the ground. Thorne's arrest cracked the entire diaspora wide open. 27 names. 4 countries. Dozens of ruined lives. But it was the footage from the seminar, Soraya's footage, that went viral. The world saw the man who built new lives on the bones of old ones, and the girl whose father had faked his death to hide a larger truth. In court, Thorne refused to speak, but during a break, he passed Eli a note. Just one line. You were always the one. Eli burned it before Tamara could read it. I'm done being anyone's experiment, he said. The Queen of Hearts remained on the board. Tamara asked Soraya if she wanted to take it down. No, she said. It reminds me I beat him. The family never fully healed, but they grew. Eli enrolled in a special program for trauma-affected youth. Soraya applied to Howard University. Tamara started writing a book, Smoke Names, The War We Never Saw Coming. On the last page, she wrote, some men die in fire, some men die in lies, but some of us rise from both. And in a sealed envelope, she placed the Queen of Hearts, addressed to no one, just in case another girl, somewhere, needed to know she wasn't alone. Sometimes the ones closest to us can cause the deepest wounds. But betrayal doesn't have to define your story. The human spirit, when tempered in pain, can become something unbreakable. Trust your instincts, honor your pain, and never stop fighting for the truth, because even the most carefully constructed lies will unravel in the light. If the story moved you, left you speechless, or made your heart race, don't forget to like, comment, and share with someone who needs to hear it. And if you crave more true stories like this, tales of betrayal, justice, and the strength of those who refuse to be erased, subscribe and turn on notifications. We've got more coming, much more. Until next time, stay sharp, stay safe, and stay awake.